A very good evening to you, esteemed viewer. We are glad that you have come through. This is Family Hour. Adrian Austin Mkalas is my name. Today is a Tuesday. The day has been good to some people. We want to congratulate you who have achieved certain or particular milestones. We thank God who has enabled you achieve what you have achieved. And to those who are sick, weak, those who have lost loved ones, those who have who are going through different challenges, we pray that the Almighty God can take you through whatever you're going through, and at the end you will come out victorious. And here we are, where the team is already here with us. Today is a Tuesday, and like we know that every Tuesday it is health. We talk about health. Now today we are talking about something that is really very, very important, yet most of us tend to despise it. There are a lot of misconceptions around it, and that is mental health. Of course, we know that cases of mental illnesses have increased, especially among young people. This is really unfortunate, because if we have a generation that is already whose prevalence is already growing, then that is a very big threat to the country. Of course, there was a research that was conducted in 2022 that showed that 22.9% of Ugandan children below the age of 18 are having mental illnesses, but also 24.2% of adults have mental illnesses. Now you realize that the difference is really not so big, but it is even more worrying when it gets to the children. Unfortunately, it's a few that have been helped. Some don't even know whether what they're going through is a mental illness or what. We've had cases of suicide. Some of us have lost people close to us who have committed suicide, and only to know you find antidepressants that they have been having. And of course, this is an indicator that probably they had a mental illness, and that led them to such a situation. But also, some people are just there. They have resorted to taking alcohol as a way of running away from what they are going through. There is a lot. Now, today we want to understand mental health. We want to, but also we want to see how we can support our friends, relatives, our immediate family members who are going through such challenges. But also we want to demystify the misconceptions and the myths around mental health. With us is Kizza Hussein Hairat. I want to be so careful when I pronounce these names. I don't want to mess up with any of the names. She's a clinical psychiatrist, and we are glad she's here with us from Reclaim. Is it Reclaim or Reclaim? Yeah. Depending on the dialect you speak.
It's Reclaim.
In some of the places we come from, we say Reclaim. And others it is Reclaim. Reclaim Health Rehabilitation Center. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
We are glad to have you.
I'm honored to be here.
Greet our viewers before I make this other compliment.
Dear viewers, a good evening from wherever you're viewing from. We thank you so much for tuning in Family TV. It's really a pleasure to be here and always speak about health on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. My name is Hairat Hussein Kizza. Yeah, some people can call me Haira to simplify the name. Okay. Yes, and I'm a psychiatric clinical officer or a clinical psychiatrist. That I deal with assessing, managing anything that a doctor does to make sure they help with the wellness of the brain. Okay. Yes, because people do not know actually about the most existence of us, but basically anything that is concerned with the brain, its wellness, its psychological state, the diseases, the behavior disorders, and everything that concerns with our brain and behavior. That is our field of expertise.
Now, the compliment I wanted to say, what prompts you? Because I think this is a complicated field, if I can say. I don't think it is something that everyone would really desire to go for, especially because of the stories surrounding, to be specific, people. I'll give an example about the people who work in Butabika. There is a misconception that when you overwork there, you start acting like your patients. and that is, I think, one of the myths. But now for people who work. So what prompts you to really go for this at your age? Now I've said it.
Well, I grew up with a big desire about mental health. I grew up seeing people suffer a lot, and the staff, the professionals were really countable to come and deal with the society. Imagine you have one national referral hospital, and it's where most of us are centered. Just imagine one national referral hospital, that's Butabika, handling 1,000 and thousands of people, basing on also the statistics, over 15 million people suffering with mental health conditions. So when I grew up seeing a lot of people battling with depression, suicide, and all the categories in that line, I felt the urge. I felt like age can't limit me from being a specialist in this field. I felt like we need to break the chains of stigma and the misconceptions people have around mental health, such that they now come out and confidently speak about how they feel. They speak about what they are going through, and we give them the help they deserve.
Okay. Wow. Indeed, it is a calling.
True.
Yeah, it is a calling. We have a very big problem. Reports have been published, especially so worrying when it gets to children in schools. All reports show that the prevalence of mental health conditions are increasingly becoming more in children in schools. We don't know why. Probably you will tell us later. But we start with the general term, mental health. What is mental health? Because my producer, Jiren, sometimes says, me, I have mental health, jokingly, so sometimes it doesn't really add up when you say, I have mental health.
Sure, I would always love to define to the world mental health in the simplest terms that even children can keep spreading that knowledge. Mental health has two English terms. One is mental, the other one is health. And mental is an English term that is related to the brain, and health is the well-being, general well-being. So when we have those two words, we basically mean the general well-being of the brain. However, someone would love to know, what do I mean by the general well-being of the brain? So this is a state of the mind that enables someone to be able to cope up with their daily stressors. Remember, it's health. Are you able to cope up with your daily stressors? Yes. To be able to realize their own abilities and also impact themselves and the people around them. So it involves emotional well-being, it involves psychological well-being, it involves behavioral well-being, and everything about the mind. So most times when we speak about mental health, people tend to run away. Hey, going to talk about the mad people. No. Mental health basically means well-being of the brain, because anything that has a brain, be it an animal, be it a person, now for us we have the highest level of intelligence. Anything that has the brain has mental health. However, what differs is anyone that has a brain can equally get mental illness. That's now where we drive to that term, illness. Illness is the presence of a disease, is the presence of a condition that is affecting your health. So I want to tell you, all the viewers, everyone that has a brain has mental health. You're mentally healthy. However, when you get a condition that suppresses your well-being, we can say you have a mental health condition, and when you come to us and we assess, we can typically diagnose you with a mental health disease or an illness. So the people that are suffering mental illness, we don't call them the mad. Actually, that one is a crime before us. Because it is just a disease that has a cause and a cure, a treatment plan. People that have mental illness, we call them people that have mental illness, not people that are mad. Yes, because they are typically not mad, but they just have a disease.
You know, it is funny when you tell someone, for example, someone calls and tells, Amat Butabika.
Exactly.
The first thing someone thinks is,
what happened? Obviously, that's so right. There is a lot of stigma around mental health. But remember, everyone that has a brain has mental health. So if you feel so much stigmatized, it means you're going to be among the thousands. They are looking at in statistics that are dying of suicide, that are dying of substance abuse, and so on. So the fact that we have the health, the fact that we have this part of the body, the brain, the fact that we need to be psychologically and emotionally stable, it means that we have to keep the health. And if we keep stigmatizing, it means that we are conflicting with our own lives. Yes, so I call upon everyone there to understand and look for the knowledge about mental health, because it's something interesting. Why? From a baby to an old person, even babies suffer mental health conditions. Yes. Haven't you ever heard of scenarios where a baby can't breastfeed anymore? They're just crying. Yeah, it may not be that you beat the baby, but a mental illness is centered around the brain, the neurotransmitters, the hormones, So even the babies have those things. They may have two increased hormones of some hormones, and then they have depression. Can you imagine? So it means mental health is beyond what people think. Mental health is beyond people undressing. And according to the statistics, 1 in 8 men has a mental health condition. I'm not saying a disease, but a condition. Condition may be stress.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly.
So
you count 8.
More for the other side. Now among the 8.
There is one person either with stress, anxiety, deadlines, depression, marital issues, school fees. So you see how valuable it is. And in the whole world, you can imagine almost 24% of Ugandans are suffering depression. So everyone that has a brain can equally get a condition. But what can help us keep ourselves safe with our mental health is by breaking the chains of stigma.
Okay.
Yes, and we keep searching more and more information about mental health.
Now, of course, this was defining mental health, and now we know what mental health is, and we know, at least we can draw a difference between mental health and mental illness. Now, why is really this information essential? Because someone would really say, in Uganda there is a prominent proverb, zirinda borangi tawa musibe mmere. Someone will say, okay. But for now, why is it important that people pay attention to some of this information, but also to watch out?
People should pay attention to now mental health because I'll give you a realistic example. When you're not okay, everyone will notice and everyone will be bothered about your health. Why? Because when you have any condition that disturbs you psychologically, it will affect your behavior. And in behavior, we have 3 parameters. We have how you think, how you feel, and how you act. If you're not psychologically okay, you will not think properly. This is why you find a boss making decisions out of nowhere. You're like, the person I know couldn't do that.
By the way.
Why? The behavior is affected because of the mental unwellness. So the way they think may influence the way they feel, and the way they feel may influence their actions. It's a cycle. That the actions may as well influence your feelings, and the feelings may as well influence your thoughts. For example, if you woke up and possibly lost your money, you may feel bad. And after feeling bad, you may have thoughts of, I think I did something wrong to God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why me? I think ancestors, they are following me wherever I go. And most of the actions that will come there is to actually go and question that, Daddy, do you have any baskets you touched yesterday? Do you have? And people keep on acting because of their mental unwellness. So it's a key thing to focus on the mental wellness, because the moment you're not okay, you're not going to impact on yourself, and you're not going to impact on the surrounding, but rather you're going to be a problem to yourself and the surrounding. You can have self-destruction in a process that you do not know.
Wow. You know, as you speak, there are moments you look at people and, you know, out of the blue, someone changes and you keep on complaining. It's a funny character you're seeing, so we now know what causes that. But I think we can talk, let's talk about some of the misconceptions, the common misconceptions that surround mental health.
Dear viewers, misconceptions, we mean the things that are there in the environment that we think are real, but in actual sense they are not. They are just thoughts that are attached to some small facts they keep portraying on the environment, and then we take them. So most of the misconceptions, I personally grew up thinking people that have epilepsy have a lizard in their brain. When that lizard shakes like this, you start to convulse. People think mental illness is witchcraft. That, hey, it seems you have ancestors, you have those small gods you're worshipping, that's why they gave you a backfire. And it's not right.
Sometimes people think that there is someone who doesn't wish you well.
Yes,
so
someone is doing sorcery, someone is doing dark magic on you, but it's not true. Why? Mental illness is like mental illness, as diseases have a cause and have a treatment plan or a cure. The other misconception is thinking that people suffering from mental illness are cursed. But remember, everyone that has a brain can equally suffer from the illnesses. It's like if you have blood, you can equally suffer from malaria. Not so. You can get flu because you have where the disease can actually manifest from. So people grew up thinking that the misfortunate people are the ones that suffer from mental illness. Others think it's the poor. Have you ever heard of the rich people falling mad? Sorry for using that term. People suffer from illnesses, though the manifestation is different. You may find a person having the issue in their car, you're not noticing, yet they are battling with some addiction problem. So it's not basically for the poor. Some people think mental illness does not cure. We treat the diseases and people go back to their normal. The issue is breaking the chains and looking for the help, because we are lucky our government is providing. We are lucky these days we have private entities that provide this kind of help. So mental illness, as any other disease that has a cause, it can equally be treated and someone gets back to normal. That's actually the common myth people have, that when you get mental illness, that's the end of your world. And other people think a person who has mental illness cannot go to school and even become a valuable person. People go and study with their conditions. People go and become big people. You know, they can become parents, they can become, they can have a normal life as long as they are treated. So the problem is from not getting the treatment. Then lastly, about those myths, people think that when you're near a person that has mental illness, you're going to get it. No, they are not transmitted through contact. They are diseases of the brain. They have a pathophysiology that you're not going to touch, like hepatitis. That when you touch blood of someone who has epilepsy, you're going to get epilepsy. No, some are actually having major causes that we do not know about.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I realize this is something that is really broad and very important, because sincerely speaking, there are very many misconceptions out there in society. You know, sometimes you sit in a taxi. This happened days back, and people have made a lot of fun out of it, where people are seated in a taxi and then out of the blue someone busts, banana obuji, and then everyone bursts into laughter. But you really don't know what, and sometimes we find people on the streets, someone is walking, and then as if they're calculating things,
and they are talking to themselves. Yeah.
You realize that someone's mind is really taken up, and some end up being knocked down by motorcycles and what. And then everyone will say, they were recklessly crossing the road. Yet this person
comes with their vehicle and they knock, and actually their mind wasn't driving, it was God driving them. The hands are on the steering, but their mind is not on the road, it is God taking them. And then afterwards, accidents, become very frequent, and people think it's reckless driving, driving when you're drunk. But when you go back to the basis, to the foundation, they are not mentally healthy. They have a lot of issues that are disturbing them.
Later on, we shall look at some of the common mental health challenges. But before we go for the break, I want you to take us through the need to reduce the stigma and how. I know it is a little hard, but out of awareness, people can embrace it. How can we reduce on the stigma we have on people that are having mental health conditions or mental illnesses?
We can reduce stigma, one, by understanding that mental health is a must to everyone. And illness is a probability. You get? When you understand that today you're fine, but tomorrow you may get depression. The other day they may call you and they tell you your mother has died, your father, your brother has been knocked down, and you get that stress that makes you fall into depression. If you get to know that you can equally get mentally perturbed, then that is the first way to break self-stigma. Because before you break the self-stigma, you will not break stigma outside. When I was growing, I used to hate mental health and all the related. But when I broke the stigma within, I was able to get the passion to learn more about mental health. So people outside there should seek for more knowledge about mental health, because people are going through a lot. They just don't have a platform to share the pain, because you don't know what someone will say when you share your story. But people outside there are going through a lot. And if you're there and you're seeing me going through a lot, it's high time we broke this stigma and we start airing out our pain. Because you never know, this statement you're speaking out may be a relief. Maybe that inner pain you've always wanted to hide. Maybe the deliverance. Maybe the chain breaker. So the first thing to do is to break the stigma within and let it out. If you feel like it is suffocating within you, let it out. Look for some social support. I understand these days people are like amplifiers. You speak something now, before you know, you have gone viral on X.
Exactly.
You have gone viral on TikTok, and your story is being shared everywhere. And you don't know about it. You didn't consent for it. But we equally can't live without social support. Social support can be with your close circle. It could be your best friend. It could be your partner. It could be your pastor. It could be your other religious leaders. It could be any other person you feel comfortable with. It could also be a health provider, that you know that if I speak to this person, my information is safe. When you speak it out, it is nearly getting solution for it. So I call upon people to seek for competent social support. It's the best way to break the stigma, because if I fail to help you, I'll refer you to someone better that can help.
Okay. At that point, let's take a short commercial break. We are coming back shortly. We have a lot more to discuss. Therefore, stick with us.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives. This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.
Welcome back from the break. This is Family Hour. We are looking at the need or the importance of mental health support. Before the break, we looked at what mental health means, and we drew a difference between mental health and mental illness. Now, there is someone called Kathy who is watching online. Actually, Kathy, I want to appreciate you for always watching and responding. Kathy, I think we can start from Kathy's concern, or we can start with the common mental health challenges, and then we go, because Kathy is asking about the signs that someone can look at an early stage, so that you don't get into the other worse stages.
Okay.
Yes, but I think let's start with the challenges, the mental health challenges facing our society today. And then we shall...
The most conditions
yes.
that are facing us, the leading conditions disturbing us is depression. Depression is just a condition. It becomes a disorder when you go to the doctor and they tell you, according to our assessment, you have depression and it is going to be treated this way. People do not know that even depression is a disease. That's why most of people lose it. So depression has eaten a big number of people, regardless of the ages, right away from children who are suffering trauma, childhood trauma and child abuse, to the youths who are battling to make ends meet here and there, and to the adults who have failed to be there, and to, again, the elderly who are fighting for their lives in terms of the health. So depression has cut across in most of the conditions. Then basically we have a lot of divisions. We have psychotic disorders or diseases, and we have the mood diseases or disorders. And then we have conditions which have not yet become disorders. I repeat, it's a disorder when you have gone to the doctor and they have told you so.
That is a disorder.
Yeah.
But
Why?
I cannot sit at my home and say, since morning I've failed to eat, I lack appetite. I think this is a disorder now.
It's just still a condition. For example, every one of us has stress. It's still a condition. But if they tell you you have an acute stress disorder, that's a disorder. When they tell you you have an anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, panic attack, that is now a disorder. But every one of us has anxiety. No more anxiety. It's only when you go to the hospital and the doctor tells you, according to our assessment, this is now beyond the normal ranges and you need hospitalization or you need treatment from a doctor. So I was still talking about the other two classifications that are too much common. We have the mood ones. Mood affects our feelings, how we feel. And then we have the psychotic ones, where someone loses it all, detaches from the reality. The people that you see walking along the streets without clothes, speaking to the dead, they have supreme being, they call themselves God. They go extra miles and tell you how they speak to angels. That exaggerated way, some person may be having a psychotic disorder that has affected their whole whole realization.
I don't know whether you've come across this. There is something that is trending where a certain group of people somewhere claim that they saw Mary, the mother of Jesus.
I saw
and I don't know, should we assume that this is... And then the other time we saw people in Kasese saying they saw the image of Jesus drawn in the sky. I mean, should we assume that these are people going through such?
Not really, because if again it's a whole group of more than one person.
No, it is one person who says, according to now this recent one, it's one person who saw and called the others.
And they also saw.
The others don't testify that they saw, but this one who was rearing the cattle says, for him he saw.
Hey, I can say sometimes it's content. And meanwhile, I can't demystify that because it may be true anyway. But as we only call it a problem or a condition or a disorder after assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, if we got a chance to speak to the gentleman or the lady that saw Mother Mary and we assess, we find out that things are not adding up, then possibly we welcome and we give you a bed. Yeah, so most of the conditions, we have depression, depressive conditions, we have anxiety conditions. These are now spectrums, big things that have those subsections. We have bipolar, whereby people talk too much. That's now how I was going to relate it with the question that was asked. We have personality disorders, we have schizophrenia.
I think you need to draw a difference between personality disorders
and personality.
Because now someone is going to be confused.
True. Personality, everyone has their own personality. It is a disorder when it meets the following. One, when it affects your general way of life. Like the Hairat we know can wake up and confidently speak in camera. But these days, when we get a chance to invite her somewhere, she can't speak out. Secondly, it can be a disorder when it has altered the way you do your activities. One, it alters yourself, then the way you impact or the way you do your activities. Then thirdly, it is a disorder when it is assessed, because there are parameters that we look for to say that this person is now having this as a disorder, not a mere personality. Yes, however, mental illness, mental conditions can trigger personality disorders. Yes, we have people that claim, I'm an extroverted introvert. I'm an extroverted introvert. Literally, I was an extrovert, but these days I'm so introverted. Sometimes it's depression.
We've also had people who say that everyone, psychologically we thought that one shows up with just a temperament. But someone says that everyone has two temperaments. One is silent in them, another is so loud. So when the silent becomes loud, should we say that if it is true anyway? So if that happens,
if the silent is more prominent and then out of the blue it becomes louder than, then we assess, we find what has made you move from the line we know to the line we don't know. Because mental health conditions can affect, remember I told you, they can affect how you think, how you feel, and how you act. And that is now the behavior. When they affect your behavior defines who you are. Yes, they will not define you as a quiet person when you don't speak. Okay, when you speak a lot. Behavior is the clothes you wear. Like, it defines who you are, because how you feel will be seen. How you think will also be discovered, and how you act will be seen by the environment, and they will describe you as either a quiet person, a smart person, an intelligent, that one is grumpy. You get? So when there is anything that is removing you from the zone we know to a different zone, then there is a need of an assessment to know, is it a normal progress, or there is something that is triggering the behavior change? That's now where we go back to mental health.
Is hysteria aware that hysteria fall?
Hysteria. Yes, hysteria is just a condition. It's just a symptom, and it doesn't signify a disease. Hysteria is mostly seen in the gender that is female, whereby it's described with someone needing a lot of attention. They want to get everything they want. In case they are in a place, they want to be so much recognized. It's just not a disease, but it can be a condition. As I said, the way you can have stress, the way you can have anxiety, even someone can have hysteria. But when we assess and it has gone beyond the normal, then we can say, you may have a borderline personality disorder. Yes.
Okay. You were still telling us about
the signs, about the common signs.
Have we completed the common
common illnesses?
Yeah, the common illnesses.
Yes, we have mentioned the depression and the spectrum.
Yes.
Anxiety disorders, psychotic disorders such as bipolar, schizophrenia. Bipolar lies in mood. We have schizophrenia. We have dementia for old people, whereby they start forgetting. They can't even remember you. They can't take themselves back. That is now dementia. So those are most of the.
We even see it common in young people.
And we have substance use disorders. I had forgotten that. Oh my God. We have tobacco use disorder. We have substance-induced psychosis. Novaco. Because of the substances. Remember, there is what we call use and abuse. People mix that one. Use is different from abuse. When you take your normal bottle once a week, or you take like 2 over the weekend, the moment you start taking every day, then we say now you're abusing, you're no longer using. There is a cause of the abuse. Are we together? Yes, so we have a lot of disorders in substance use spectrum. Tobacco, marijuana, kuba, what, cocaine, opioids, and even other sorts of addictions. They're all under the substance use disorders. Yes, and those are the most common ones in the youths specifically.
Now let us look at the signs.
The common signs.
The common signs that someone can look at and then they know, I think I need to visit.
Let me start with the ones they don't want us to speak about, the mood disorders. Common signs of depression. I know I'm going to attack very many.
Which is okay as long as we learn.
The common signs of depression is a persistent low mood. Persistent, I mean nearly every day, because you may have a low mood on Monday, but then the other 6 days of the week you're okay. That is not persistent. What you mean by persistent? You're sad on Monday, Tuesday you're sad, Wednesday you're sad, Thursday they bring you a pizza, you smile. After lunch, you get sad again. Saturday, you don't want to leave your room. Sunday, you cancel programs because you feel comfortable home. So a persistent low mood is the basic key in depressive disorders. Secondly, we have a loss of interest in the previously pleasured activities. I used to love watching Man U versus Man City. These days I don't care. Hey, I used to love watching soccer from the boys. These days I watch soccer from my phone. There is a problem. I used to sleep 6 hours in a night. These days I sleep 2 hours and they are very fine. I used to have good appetite. These days I'm picky. When I try this, I don't feel like it's so tasty the way it used to be. Some people have a problem with their sleep. They wake up in intervals. They be like, I think this is what they call maturity. When you grow up, you don't have sleep. No, my dear. You're depressed. Some people have started looking for positions to be nuns. They don't want relationships because they are too much stressed. They can't accommodate. Some people actually breaking down into their own families. They don't want to talk to this brother. I don't want to speak to my girlfriend. I only love my kids. Why? There is a lot happening. Then others have resorted to abusing alcohol. Some people are buying expensive drugs, ice. Others have resorted to violating money. They use money recklessly. And you may think it's a big boy spending. Some people are depressed and that's how they can relieve their stress. Others have changed into behaviors. They are aggressive. Someone you knew very quiet is aggressive. The person I knew in you could call me in case of any problem and we speak calmly. These days you just yell or else you just blacklist me. Others feel safer alone in their houses. It is not safe. If at all previously you used to love socialization.
We have people who say they keep indoors, they no longer want to associate with anyone in the name of
that saying is very strong. Just imagine the things that happen before someone says Nsinajivako. Remember, these conditions grow slowly by slowly. So the time someone says Nsinajivako, it means they have been squeezed to the wall and they can't pass through the wall, so they are there and they do not have anyone to pull them out. Yes. Then The other key I can't leave out is having suicidal thoughts and ideations and attempts. Thinking that death is the option. Anyway, when I die, I'll just go and sit with angels in heaven. People think it's safer because they think the world they know of is harder than that they don't know. So if you hear any person trying to speak about death, don't take that something granted. We take that as an emergency in psychiatry, suicide, because before you know, after 2 minutes, someone has fallen from a skyscraper and they are dead. The other way, we have bipolar. Bipolar disease, it is characterized by an elevated mood, the opposite of now depression. Someone you know is very calm, is just normal vibe. Tomorrow they come at work, they talk a lot, they are very happy, they have bought everything for everyone. Out of the blue, they are planning outreaches, they are planning tours, and everything is on them. You know, they do not have enough time to sit in a chair to do the work. They feel up and down. They feel like they have a lot of things to do in life. Before you know, they are telling you, I'm the next president. Before you know, Equity building is mine. Uganda house is for my brother. By the way, in US, they've invited me for a meeting. Such elevated mood. They have unrealistic goals in very short time. They can tell you, I'm going to compete with I'm going to get the fourth Range Rover Vela in Uganda. Just out of the blue, you're seeing someone very excited. They don't feel like they need to rest. They don't feel like they deserve sleep. They don't feel hungry in any way. They feel like they are over the moon. These are the people you find spending $1 million in a week, but the person you knew before was a very stingy man. The boss comes and is giving you allowances. Quickly, before you know, he's organizing a trip to US, all of you. And then he's talking too much, he's sweating too much, removing clothes. There are the people that we see removing clothes because they feel they don't want anything that is uncomfortable around them. They move clothes, and then you're like, hey, sir, are you removing the shirt? This is okay, I'm 20, how many years? You know, I'm above 18, I know what I want. They are not okay. Eno mu Luganda tugamba nti amasanyalaze oluusi gaba gakoze eki gasusse nti bwe gabeera very low, you're likely to have depression. Bwe gabeera ku line eya basement, you're normal. Bwe gasukkako, people will see the symptoms. You're easily irritated, omuntu akugambako kati ninoonyiga nnyo, but when you see it is not worthy, you know. So that is with bipolar. Then lastly, generally about the psychotic diseases, we find people speaking alone and they think they are speaking with someone you don't see. Nga they tell you, me I'm seeing, she's there, don't you see that person? Someone is seated here and they are like, I've had someone call me. Have you had anyone call me? Literally, there is no one. They start hearing voices of people that they may see or they may not be seeing speaking to them. They start having thought disturbances. They start thinking that they are nearly going to die, and now they become too insecure with everything. Others start thinking the world is against them. Every time they keep their things, bajja kundoga banange oli antunuulira agenda kumpa obuto oli omusajja ku boda oba yabadde n'ekiso ayi kayagala kunsta. They are paranoid. Others be there and they think things that are not real. Bw'oba oyagala essaazo zituuke ewa Katonda yitamu nze ne Yesu tuli tuti, nze ne Maria tuli tuti, nze asayininga wali ebitabo, bw'otayitamu nze eggulu tolina. Because you can know the normal person and their faith, but when they exceed, then it's a symptom of mental illness. Some other people can start moving aimlessly away from home. They don't come back on time, not because they don't have the homes, not because they don't have peace home, but they also don't know why they spend a lot of time home. So when you start noticing those symptoms in your friends, you be like, hey man, are you okay? Because people do not know that they are not fine. There are very many symptoms depending on the exact conditions. So those ones I was classifying, the ones that are psychotic and the ones that affect mood. Talking about the one I told you that is for old people. You told me that even youth these days forget. Forgetting.
There are people who, okay, this is something we used to see before we get into that measure. For example, a mother puts a knife here And then they search
for the
everywhere.
knife.
They even accuse others. They even beat you sometimes.
There are a lot of factors that affect memory.
Okay.
Yes, and 3 of them I love: focus, concentration, and attention. So sometimes your mother has focus, but their mind is blown away. They are thinking about something different. So when those 3 parameters are not in line, they will actually forget they have a knife here. But
so
the disease
does it come back? I mean, for this particular one, does it come back to a mental disorder or a mental illness?
Condition?
It's a mental condition.
It may be stress, it may be depression, it may be sadness, it may be anxiety, a lot of things that can affect your brain, can affect your thinking, the way you feel and the way you act.
Okay.
Those 3 things are very key. So when you forget at your age, possibly you have a lot of things on your plate. Possibly you have a lot of tasks. You have tried to concentrate, there are many calls coming in. Like your brain has divided attention and concentration. Obviously, you will have to have short-term memory or immediate memory only. Yes.
Now we get to that one.
To that disease. The disease called dementia.
Yes.
This is now a degenerative condition that affects the brain. Your brain keeps degenerating. The cells keep dying slowly, and when they die, they affect all parameters: memory, thinking, your cognition in particular. They can't know that we are in Uganda. They can't know that today is a Monday. They can't see the time outside because the brain is degenerating progressively. And that one happens mostly in people above 58, 60 years and above. Our ages, we can't have dementia.
Okay.
Unless you have another neurocognitive condition that will affect now your memory, because even children have neurocognitive conditions, yes, that affect their memories and so on.
Okay. Wow. Now, of course, we really want to understand most of these conditions in depth, something that cannot happen today.
True.
We are going to request you, we are going to arrange another time, and we have you here so that we can at least get into, because much as we've talked about them, but it was so sketchy that someone cannot really get the deeper understanding of a particular condition or a particular disorder. Now, for today, what are your closing remarks? Of course, after this show, we shall discuss when to have you again.
Okay. I would love to appreciate whoever has been with us from the start and those that found us on the way. It's really a pleasure learning something new about health, at least a minute in a day. I would love to tell everyone outside there that it's okay not to be okay, but the extent matters. I will not find you with a rope going to hang yourself, and it's okay not to be okay. The extent matters. Stop hiding your depression. Stop hiding the pain in the mask of it's okay not to be okay. It's not okay not to seek for help. That one is not okay. Please, you need to seek for help, because what you can't handle, someone else can handle. Speaking out gives us relief. And lastly, prevention is free. Because we have the health, we can equally prevent the diseases. Prevention is free, but treatment is at a cost that is not only financial, but also psychological.